right, so a lot of these questions for circles, you will need to be able to go back and forth between the formulas. And you will be getting these formulas. I'm just not going to tell you though what it's equal to. Like, I mean, what you'll get written on the board is pi r squared, 2 pi r, or pi d, and you'll have to know how to use them, what they what they represent. So finding the area and circumference of the given circles. Well, the area formula is the pi r squared. So area is equal to pi r squared. And our circumference, we can represent it in two different ways, either 2 pi r or pi d. Because what d and r represent, the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge. So that says our radius there. Now, if it's the center to the edge, well, the other side is another radius. And when we have the line that goes from one end of the circle through the center to the other, that represents our diameter. So that's why we can represent as 2r or diameter, because diameter is twice our radius. And remember, circumference is just a way of saying the perimeter of the circle. And when what pi is, we did this in class, pi tells us how many times our diameter can wrap around our circle. So our diameter wraps around our circle 3 whole times. And if you put pi into the calculator, it's like 0.14 and all those other decimals. That's how many times it's the ratio that our pi can wrap around. So that's why if our circumference is a way of saying our perimeter, and pi is saying how many times our diameter wraps around our circle. Well, when we times pi by whatever our diameter is, it will give us the actual distance of that particular circle. So when we're solving this, our area is equal to pi r squared. Our radius in this case is 8, so area is equal to pi times 8 squared. And we know 8 squared is the same 8 times 8 twice, so it's 64. So area is equal to 64 pi. Now you can leave your answers for me in terms of pi. So if you left your answer like this in the test, you would be correct. If you wanted to round it, we can then press that S to D button on our calculator and we can get 201.1, and this would then be inches squared. All right, so that's our area for that one. Our circumference is equal to 2 pi r, and our radius is still 8. So our circumference is equal to 2 times pi times 8, or our circumference is equal to 16 pi. Or we can type that into a calculator to get the round it if we wanted to. So our circumference is equal to 50.3 inches. All right. So for B, if we are going to then, let me just wrap this off. If we're going to do this one, since circumference can also be represented by pi times diameter, they're giving me the diameter. I don't have to divide by 2 because I'm going to end up multiplying it by 2 anyway. So our circumference, I'm going to then use pi d. And our d in this case is equal to 58. So that means our circumference is equal to 58 pi centimeters. And now, once again, if you wanted to, you can type that into your calculator, and it would then be 182.2 centimeters. So that is our circumference. And then if I wanted to find our area is equal to pi r squared. So then we do need to say, okay, well, if the circumference is diameter is a distance from one end of the circle to the other, well, if I need to know my radius, well, that's half of it. So that means our diameter was equal to 58. Well, 58 divided by 2 is equal to 29. So our radius is equal to 29. So then our area is equal to pi times 29 squared. And 29 squared is then equal to 841. So our area is 841 pi cm squared. And then if we wanted to then round that, well, we would just type in our calculator, press that S to D button. So 2,642.1 cm squared. All right, so that is just solving the basic version of it. Now is where we're kind of combining the two. So it says the circumference of a circle is 12 pi. So before we gave you like the radius or the diameter, well, in order for us to find the area, we know the area of the circle is pi r squared. So what I need to figure out then is, well, what is our radius of the circle equal to? Well, the information they gave me is that the circumference of this circle is 12 pi. Well, I know my circumference is equal to 2 pi r. So if my circumference is 12 pi, that means C is equal to 12 pi. So where I see C, I can substitute it with 12 pi. Not 12, but 12 pi. And now, if I want to figure out what my radius is, I'm going to isolate it. And remember, pi is not a variable. It represents a number. So I can divide by 2 pi. And when I divide by 2 pi, it's going to cancel out both of those, so it isolates my r. Here, the pi's cancel out, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So that means my radius had to be 6 in order for me to have a circumference of 12 pi. So if I know what my radius is, I can now figure out what the area is, because the area is pi times radius, or 6 squared. So our area is equal to 36 pi. And then if we wanted to know what that was as an actual value, we can then round it. We can then say it's equal to 113.1. And our units, it doesn't give us it, so we can just write units squared. All right, so now the last question. Essentially what we're doing here is we're trying to find the area of this shaded region. So if I see, I don't want the circle inside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out, well, what is the area of this entire blue shape here? So I'm going to figure out the area of the blue circle. And then once I figure that out, if I were to then take that little smaller circle, I can subtract it from the area of the big circle, and that will tell me what is left over. So this is telling us the radius from the inner to the very outer. So that means the bigger circle that's blue has a radius of 6. So the area of the blue circle is pi r squared, or pi times 6 squared, or 36 pi. So that's the area of the blue circle. This black circle that we're trying to take out has a radius of 2. So the area of the black circle is equal to pi r squared, which in this case is equal to 2. So our area is equal to 4 pi. Now, that's what's not part of the shape, so we need to remove it from it. And to remove something, we can represent that mathematically through subtraction. So 36 pi minus 4 pi is equal to 32 pi. So that is the area of that shaded in region outside, because we found the entire circle and we removed the piece that we don't want from it. And if we then wanted to put that as a decimal, 32 pi is then equal to 100.5. So the area of that shaded region is 100.5 feet squared.